Alright, welcome back to another Art of War 3 replay. I'm your host, John Cena, and today we're going to be facing off against two medalists from the Clancules clan. I'm going to be the purple player, and my ally Peaky BD is going to be the orange player. So let's go ahead and get into it. We got some early game scouting that's unfolding around the map. This map's a little bit unique in that both you and your partner are split up on the map. So across from me at the top of the mini-map is going to be one of the opponents from the opposing clan, Clancules, and opposite of Peaky is going to be the other player. You can see Peaky's getting a nice scout onto the green player's base. Green's already got a naval shipyard down to get some of those deltas out for early naval control and grabbing containers. Peaky's doing a good job getting some early naval control as well. He's got a delta out already. Meanwhile, I'm a little bit slower on the development getting deltas out, but I've got some good infrastructure down. So we got some early combat unfolding around the container. Looks like my delta is not going to be enough to fight off the blue deltas, and my delta is going to get cleaned up. Peaky's got double production of deltas happening. He's a little bit behind on the infrastructure. We've got a scout here happening on the blue player's base. We can see that blue is actually now teching up to HQ3. This is a very interesting move, considering that blue only has 3 supply centers, so the economy is not that strong. We see double delta production happening as well. So I'm going to go ahead and flag that, just to let Peaky know that we should keep an eye on that, just in case they try something like a delta rush. So I'm teching up now as well to go HQ3. I'm a little bit slower on the speed, but my economy is much better than that of the blue players. So just continuing now to put some infrastructure down. I'm going to put down a construction yard. It's going to allow me to expand my base. Peaky's launching an early ground assault onto the green player's base. And let's see what kind of damage Peaky can do here. He's only got 4 deltas, but at the moment, green doesn't have any defenses down and is forced to spend resources on dropping bunkers for defense. Looks like Peaky's going to be able to swipe a power plant as part of his early aggression here. We got some assaults coming out for the green player to try and dual damage onto these deltas. Bunkers come out for the green player as well, but that bunker is going to get cleaned up by Peaky. Peaky now dishing out some more damage onto defensive structures. Assaults are now continuing to pour out for the green player, and Peaky's going to lose his deltas, and that's going to be the end of his assault. Peaky now is just teching up to HQ3, so Peaky's a little bit slower than me on the development this time around. And we got some infantry kind of trying to deny some scouting for Peaky. And we can see that there's more deltas coming out from the blue player. So we can see that blue is still in production of deltas, which is a very strange move considering that we're already 7 minutes in. So now I'm even more heavily suspecting that there's going to be some kind of rush that's going to happen. And here's the rush. That's a lot of deltas coming in on Peaky. Peaky is not prepared. He's going to try and drop down a rocket tower. That rocket tower is going to get shot down though. And Peaky is in trouble. He does not have any units or defensive buildings to counter these deltas. And these deltas are dishing out some massive damage onto Peaky's base. Peaky's going to need to come up with a response quick or he's going to be finished. And these deltas are just continuing to be maneuvered around Peaky's base. This is a full-on rush from the blue player, which explains why the blue player was continuing to produce deltas so late in the game and only had 3 supply centers to start out. We see on the left-hand side there's a destroyer from the green player trying to do some damage onto Peaky, but that torpedo platform took care of it. Peaky's got nothing though on the land side of things. He's only able to get a couple deltas on the land at a time, and that is just not going to be enough to counter these deltas. So I know that I need to move now, and I need to put pressure onto the blue player. This is the time to do it, considering that most of the blue player's army is at Peaky's base trying to deal out damage. I've got a handful of hammers here and a couple torrents, so I've got some decent firepower, but I don't have anything to hard counter any air units in case the blue or green player sends any air units my way. Meanwhile, at Peaky's base, Peaky's in danger here of losing his headquarters. If he loses the headquarters, that's going to be rough for him. He has no construction yard either in the vicinity, And so he's going to lose that headquarters. This is looking bad for Peaky. I've got my hammers moving in onto the blue player. Here comes my hammers. Let's see what we can do. I've got a gold vehicle scout boost just so I can maximize the speed of the hammers. A lot of the hammer's power comes from their ability to maneuver and shoot at the same time. Here comes a vertex from the green player. We know green is at least HQ3, which is going to allow them to send vertex over for air support. These deltas in the meantime just continuing to relentlessly dish out damage onto Peaky, and these vertex are now coming in, just dishing out some damage onto my ground forces. There's only one vertex so far, but again, I don't have anything to hard counter air units, so my ground assault is slowly losing steam here. Luckily, because I have a special vehicle factory, I can go ahead and start to produce some typhoons to counter those vertex. Meanwhile, Peaky still under attack here, slowly losing infrastructure. He just lost another power plant, and now Peaky is low power. And we can see that Peaky's now about to lose that last power plant. And we can see all the buildings have restored power, so likely Peaky is on an emergency measures boost of some type in order for him to keep his economy going. With that economy though, there's not a lot that Peaky can do right now. I think Peaky's best move is to save up resources, and hopefully I'll be able to launch a successful counter against the blue player, and that'll allow Peaky some time to rebuild. So here we go, vertex coming in from the green player, dishing out some damage onto my ground forces. I've got some typhoons coming in now to counter those vertex, and these deltas though slowly withering away at the rest of Peaky's base. Peaky only has a handful of structures left. My units are now regrouping just so I can get some air coverage for my units. My delta's coming in now to do another scout onto the blue player's base, and it looks like the blue player is still going very heavy on the deltas and is building exclusively deltas. Deltas are great for rushes, but they're only a tier 1 unit, and my ground army is consisting of hammer tanks and torrents, so I think I have the firepower advantage if I can maneuver my units properly and if I can keep them covered from the vertex. Meanwhile, Delta is continuing to dish out damage, and looks like Peaky's going to lose another supply center. Peaky is down to only 2 supply centers, so I need to hurry up and build my ground units. I do not want to be hit by these deltas once Peaky's base is fully cleaned up. Peaky's only got a Viking, a torpedo platform, and 1 delta for defense. He's able to build 1 delta at a time. He has the extra command points, likely from the commander skills. Here comes the deltas from the blue player. We got some more deltas moving in. I've got a couple typhoons and a torrent and some hammers in the area. We're going to throw on a gold attack boost just so I can get the boost and the extra range and the max firepower of my tanks. I want to be able to maximize the firepower as much as possible. And we're doing a good job here pushing back the blue player. But here comes the green player. Green's got 3 deltas coming in now. And it looks like this blue player now is going to try and use their deltas to clean up this Viking. I don't know if that's a good move or not. These deltas are getting cleaned up by the Viking, but the Viking is going to go down. So blue is now only down to a couple deltas left in the vicinity of Peaky's base. Meanwhile, I'm moving ground units across the map here, and I'm moving some typhoons as well to provide air coverage. And again, I use that gold vehicle scout boost just so I can maximize the speed of my hammers. Meanwhile, we can see here, Peaky has deployed a reserve HQ, possibly a little bit early. Let's see here. My hammers are moving in now. We got deltas versus hammers. Hammers are tier 2 armor versus deltas are only tier 1 armor. And looks like we got a vertex flying in. That is my vertex. So I've got 2 jobs here on the battlefield right now. One is to put pressure on the blue player, and the other is to provide coverage for Peaky to see if Peaky can come back into the game. We got 4 vertex hitting my ground units here. So it's vertex and deltas against my hammers, torrents, and typhoons. I need to move my typhoons in a little bit closer. Looks like Peaky was able to deploy not only a construction yard and headquarters, but also some infrastructure and some other buildings. These vertex though dishing out some good damage onto my units. I got to keep my hammers moving, and that's key here as Again, power from hammers comes from their ability to move and fire at the same time, and also units will take less damage if you keep them moving. So we're able to actually make some good progress onto the blue player's base. Blue finally put down a 4th and 5th supply center, it looks like, but that's not going to matter because I am just out here cleaning up blue's base, and now blue is in trouble. After putting Klepacki in a tough position earlier with that rush, blue does not have the forces to defend against my ground assault. Klepacki, meanwhile, is producing deltas now, and he's got a couple defensive structures down. And we can see that Klepacki's got 5 supply centers as well, so Klepacki's got good infrastructure. He may be able to get back into the game. So now we're putting some pressure onto blue. We're hitting that headquarters. Vertex coming in, trying to save the blue's base, but my Typhoons are spread out very nicely, and they are going to be able to counter any Vertex that the green player sends. We got deltas coming in from the green player. I'm trying to see if I can finish off this headquarters here, and that's going to guarantee that the blue player is not going to be able to make any more ground forces. So I'm going to bring my Vertex in, and we're going to take down that headquarters. Blue is in big trouble now. They only have a handful of structures. They are now in a very similar position to what Klepacki was in earlier, except Klepacki now has been able to rebuild, and it's going to be pretty difficult for green to send in reinforcements because they'll only be able to send deltas and Vertex. So Klepacki says he's doing okay now. He says it's a 1v2, but I tell him to wait. I don't want us to get too comfortable yet. I want to make sure that we can secure a good victory against the 2 players before we declare the victory. I've got more Typhoons moving in now, so I've got a total of 5 Typhoons and a handful of hammers in the area to secure the blue area. Meanwhile, Klepacki is doing a good job grabbing containers on the water. Here comes some Vertex from the green player, and those Vertex are going to put some pressure onto Klepacki. They've taken out an anti-air tower, and I think the green player is trying to see if they can finish off that special vehicle factory, but those Vertex are going to go ahead and pull back. And oh no, they come in for another attack, and the special vehicle factory goes down. My Vertex come in to intercept, but it's too late. I'm not able to score a hit onto those Vertex. So I'm going to go ahead and pull back my Vertex. So Klepacki continuing to rebuild. We can see a couple anti-air towers coming down. Meanwhile, my 6 hammers here have destroyed 1 naval shipyard, and there's 2 more naval shipyards going down. So it looks like blue is going to try and commit into a full naval build, possibly with triple delta production originally. Meanwhile, Klepacki over here doing a good job doing some harassment and capturing containers on the water. Vertex coming in for the green player. Looks like they're hitting the headquarters, and we saw a couple Thors from earlier. So it looks like the green player is trying to dish out some good damage, is desperately trying to take down that headquarters. Green knows that he can't fight a 2v1 battle, so he's trying to see if he can finish off Klepacki for good. But Klepacki's headquarters is going to live to see another day. Meanwhile, I have been able to tech up to HQ4, and I can't send a ground army to hit the green player, so instead I'm going to go for a full aviation build. Klepacki continuing to do a great job defending against these aircraft. We can see that a Vertex got shot down and a Thor delivered some bombs onto the headquarters, but that headquarters is still intact. We see a few ground forces just outside the perimeter of the base for Klepacki, but it looks like they're not attacking quite yet. Klepacki's now moving in some deltas. They're going to destroy a delta from the green player, and it looks like there's a Zeus on the cliff, but that's not going to be enough to stop these deltas. Those deltas are going to clean up that Zeus tank, and now they're moving onto this airfield. We can see there's a Thor docked on the airfield. Green is trying to defend with the Vertex, but one Vertex is not going to be able to cut it. That airfield looks like it's going to go down, and it's going to go down. I'm going to bring in my Vertex now, and we can see there's another airfield with 4 Thors on it, but we're going to be able to clean up this airfield very nicely. Green only has 1 torpedo platform for anti-air defense, and looks like these Thors were launched in an effort to bomb my base, but we're going to go ahead and shoot these Thors down. This is no problem for my Vertex. My Vertex are going to go ahead and pull back. And now we can see that one Vertex flew over my ground forces and it got shot down by my Typhoons. We see a couple Zeus just on the outside of Peaky's base here, and it looks like we got some harassment that's happening from the two Zeus, but this is not going to be a problem for Peaky. We can see Peaky's Zeus engaging in a 1v1 with the green player's Zeus tank, and we can see that the Zeus tank is going to get beat by Peaky's Zeus tank. A couple infantry coming in for the green player, but that's not going to be enough. So at this point in the game, it's pretty much good game. I've got full vertex lined up. Looks like green is not really producing any more units. They got a couple anti-air towers and a couple vehicles coming out, but that's just about it. So overall, we did a good job defending against this rush and making the comeback. Good job to Peaky for being able to stay alive and save resources. Hopefully you all enjoyed this battle. It was stressful in the beginning, and with the background of the two players we took on from clancules, both of them are medalists, so you know that this was a solid matchup. Alright, so hopefully you all enjoyed the battle. This is the rest of us just kind of leveling the base and finishing off the green player. We will see you in the next battle.
Fuel level critical. Fuel's in range.